If you could have one superpower, what would it be? I would choose to be invisible. Invisibility kind of trumps everything else. If I was invisible, I wouldn't need to fly because I could fly everywhere for free. I wouldn't need super strength because as soon as somebody comes at me, hey guys, so a couple of weeks ago I did another one of those ask me a question things on Instagram, and once again I got a lot of really great questions, so of course I figured I would choose the best of the bunch and film a little video. I miss your question, please don't take it personally. There's just only so many ways I can reject a marriage proposal from a complete stranger, okay? Alright, here we go. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? I open my eyes, I roll over, and I go, still here. How tall are you? I am 152 centimeters tall. Oh, sorry, I know Americans don't use the metric system, so for my American viewers, that's 5 Subway sandwiches tall. I'm just fucking with you guys. Nobody here uses it either. Have you ever worn out a VHS tape? If so, which one? Swayze? Diamond Phillips? Worn out a VHS tape. Yes, I have worn out a couple of VHS tapes, aside from the 1970s porn that was hiding under my dad's mattress. Titanic, obviously. I was an 11-year-old girl when that came out. Speed with Keanu Reeves. I adored Speed. I watched it 5 times a day. What's the best or worst pickup line you've ever heard? I don't know so much about pickup lines, but I will tell you the weirdest line I've ever heard come out of a man's mouth. I dated a guy for a bit who told me he didn't like getting blowjobs because he lost all respect for a woman as soon as he saw his penis inside of her mouth. Just so many layers to what's wrong with that, I don't even know where to start. What's the most useless talent you have? I used to work at a funeral home, and I worked in body removal, which means I would drive out to different areas, pick up the body and put it in a van. So you need to get rid of a body, I'm your guy. Have you sold your goddamn panties yet? You stupid bitch. No, I've not sold my dirty panties online yet. But you know, if somebody's interested in that, I could make up a little mayonnaise cocktail. If there was one thing you could be the best at in the world, what would it be? What? I'm already the best at everything. Do you remember your first dance? Yes, I do remember my first dance. It was to a Celine Dion song, The Power of Love, and it was with my older brother's best friend who was the love of my life at the time. Very shortly after I danced with him, he danced with my sister, and then he told my brother he had a crush on my sister, and that night I tried to smother her to death with a pillow. What's your horoscope? I'm an Aries. How many items is too many in the self-checkouts at grocery stores? Angry face. Someone had a bad experience at a self-checkout. You know, I don't really do self-checkout that often. If somebody works at the store, fucking check me out. Do your job. Do you want to visit Idaho? Of course. I'd be a solid 10 in Idaho. What city would you live in besides Toronto? I don't know, a hot one. Anywhere where it's hot. I would spend the rest of my days rolling around in pig shit as long as the sun was shining. How do you make your man look better without him knowing? How do I make a man look better without him knowing? Just by standing next to him. Oh wait, that would mean that I make him look better because I look like shit. Let me pass on this one for now. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? Oh yeah, buddy. What was your best high school memory? I would say that my best memory from high school was when I went to a Bush concert. I went to see Bush X in concert, and I was obsessed with Gavin Rossdale, and I was just like, as long as I get to see him in person, my life will be complete. And then I'm standing in the audience with my sister's boyfriend at the time. Gavin starts walking on the backs of the seats through the audience. He stops right in front of me, grabs my sister's boyfriend's hand, and starts singing to the audience right before my eyes. I spent the entire time just groping his ass. That thing was made of stone. What's your favorite song right now? My favorite song at the moment is that one by Pearl Jam. You know, the one that goes, off grid. Here's an interesting one. If you were a hypothetical question conversation starter, which one would you be? If I were a hypothetical question, I would be this question. Would you kill a newborn baby to cure 100,000 people of cancer? I'd be this question because if they said they wouldn't kill the baby to save the 100,000 people, I'd be like, oh, so what? You don't care about humanity? You wouldn't make a sacrifice to save 100,000 people's lives? You wouldn't make that sacrifice to impact all the other people's lives that would affect if their family member was saved from cancer? But if they said they would sacrifice the baby to save 100,000 people, I'd be like, you soulless son of a bitch. You would murder a newborn baby? What kind of sick fuck are you? I'd be the question that puts you in a lose-lose situation. You know why? Because I win. What would your superhero name be? Do you guys already know? If I were a superhero, I would be Self-Saboteur Girl. I would walk right up to the villain and I would do my favorite dance. You know what dance that is? 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Self-Saboteur. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Now, as a superhero, of course, I would be aware that dancing in front of a villain wouldn't defeat him, and that I'd probably be better off learning some type of martial arts. But I'm a self-saboteur. That's my whole thing. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? I would choose to be invisible, you know, because invisibility kind of trumps everything else. Like, if I was invisible, I wouldn't need to fly because I could fly everywhere for free. I wouldn't need super strength because as soon as somebody comes at me, do gray sweatpants make you hard? Yes. I don't know what it is about the gray sweatpants, man. I don't know if it's the dick print. I don't know if it's like casual comfort or the easy access, but it's Niagara Falls down there. What movie world would you like to live in? The Matrix, obviously. I'm a truth seeker. Which 1900s decade is the coolest? Easy. The 90s. God, I miss the 90s. This was the decade where people literally did not give a shit what they look like. It was essentially the complete opposite of this decade. Hollywood stars were wearing giant muumuus on screen and everybody was like, yes, this one has polka dots. Don't even belt it. Who gives a shit? You have a waist. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Who or what do you think you were in a past life? I don't know what I was, but one time I went to a psychic and he was like, in your past life, you were this weird little woman. You were like this tiny, creepy little weird woman, and you only really talked to animals, and you were super lazy. Like, you would just lie around all day. So when you went back up to Soul World, you felt really guilty about living your whole other life lying down. So you promised yourself you would work really hard. Now you live in this very conflicting space where you want to work really hard, but you also want to sleep all day long. What am I supposed to do with that information? What's your favorite joke? Who has a favorite joke? Think of what my favorite joke is. At the moment, I can't really think about what my favorite joke is, but I did recently discover what visual makes me laugh more than anything in the world. This happened recently. I saw something and I laughed so hard. It was like a whole brand new laugh, something I'd never experienced before. Like, it hurt. It hurt, and then I started crying, but it wasn't like cry laughing. It was like real crying almost. It was just like a whole other level of hilarity. Very shocked to find out what it was. If you guys want to look it up after, it's from the movie Game Night, and it is the image of Jason Bateman bleeding all over a little white dog. What's the worst excuse you've ever used on somebody? Back in high school, I missed a lot of days, and because of that, I had a paternal grandfather who died about 15 times in 4 years? Did you have an imaginary friend as a child? No, but I have a few imaginary friends now. If achievable, will the application of the M drive lead the new space travel era? I don't understand a one word you just said. Beer or alcohol? Weed? Bong or joint? I haven't taken a bong hit in like 13 years. Do you think Jim Carrey should play Batman? I don't think anyone should play Batman. I think there's enough Batmans. How about a new movie concept? How about something entirely different? Here's the thought. Something that has nothing to do with a superhero whatsoever. How long does it take to do a video? It usually takes me about a day. I usually film it sometime in the afternoon, and then I edit in the evening, and I post it the following day. What's a topic you were initially hesitant to discuss, but eventually glad that you did? To be honest, there's not really a lot of topics I'm hesitant to discuss. I think the intent behind your words matters a lot more than the words themselves. I know that my heart and my mind are in a good place, and I don't really worry about it too much. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. I think I missed a bunch of questions. I'm feeling a little out of sorts today, I don't know. Anyway, thanks again for taking the time to send the questions in. You know how much I appreciate you guys. You're literally my whole heart and soul. I would die for you. I'd catch a grenade for you. All right, I wouldn't do that. That's just crazy. Proud of, but never have an excuse to talk about? Wow, that's a good question. What are some things I'm proud of? And if I don't come up with anything, this is gonna be a dark day.